to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest-running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control, and when you say Miami, you're talking to Merkel, because we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the Dolphins Talk post-game wrap-up show here on this Sunday, November 16th. A little early since we had that 9:30 a.m. Eastern kickoff where your Miami Dolphins beat the Washington Commanders 16-13 in overtime. Boy, did Mike McDaniel do everything in his power to try and give this game away. We have so much to talk about. Yes, they won. They won. But there is so much to talk about from this game of questionable coaching decisions, to say the least, in this game that was totally sloppy. You know, Tom, in the year 2004 in Madrid, Spain, it was the Tauchu train bombings, which took place in Madrid. It was very sad. 192 people died. It was a whole thing. They probably haven't had a worse day since watching Washington play Miami today, as this game was awful on every level. How you doing today, Tom? You're muted again, Tom.
It's StreamYard. It's StreamYard that does it to me.
You got to, yeah. I think once we go live, you have to make sure you're not
myself. Anyway,
something's changed. Yeah. Hi.
Anyway,
so what are your thoughts here?
The game was terrible. In a lot of facets. Obviously, the coaching decisions in this game was very head scratching. I can't understand or fathom the thought of not kicking the field goal when you're inside the 1 yard line on third and goal and you don't get in. You may as well just go get your points because Washington has no timeouts. Now, we saw what Washington did with no timeouts, giving them the chance to win the game. But they're equally as bad as Miami was in this football game today. It was a stunner. It was a stunner, but the Dolphins got the win and they get their bye week finally. And we'll see what comes out of the other side when it comes to the likes of the guys that are on injured reserve that it could be coming off. You know, James Daniels could have his window open. We know Austin Jackson's window's open. A lot can happen. This is a weird season. The Dolphins won 3 out of their last 4 games, sit at 4-7, still far out of the playoff picture at this point. But it's always Dolphins football, Mike, when there's just that little glimmer of hope that you're going to see that damn logo in the hunt.
It might make in the hunt graphic, and this season ain't that surprising. This team stinks, and it stunk today. They just got lucky that they played a team that was worse, and they got to win by the grace of the football gods. But we'll break that all down on today's show. First, as always, this show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com, for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. If you're in South Florida, stop by their store at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Caneswear has it all. You got Christmas coming up. You got Hanukkah is right around the corner. If you need a gift for someone else, or if you just want to treat yourself, go to caneswear.com for the best Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. Also, shout out to everyone watching us live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also super chats are open. We already got a super chat before we went live. We will read that. We will read all super chats at some point on the show. So if you leave us a super chat, it's the best way to support our website and what we do. And also, we give you priority and we'll share your comments on the screen. And also, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. It's $3 a month. You get extra podcasts, extra content, prizes where we give away autographs, and so much cool stuff's going on over there. Watch alongs, happy hour shows, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Before we get some more games, some of the notes. Rasul Douglas and D. Eskridge were out, injured for this game, did not play. Quinn Ewers was the third quarterback again. He was inactive. Jordan Colbert, the safety. This is a rare one right here. Gets a concussion at the start of the game. They take him off the field. He was cleared of the concussion, could return, but he couldn't return because he also had a stinger, and that kept him out of the game. So 2 injuries, and the one that's quote-unquote the more serious one wasn't the one that kept him out of the game. He was cleared of the concussion. A little weird there. Benito Jones, he hurt his ankle in this game early. He did return late in the second quarter, right before halftime. So I guess all's well there. Juju Brents left the game with an ankle injury, and we saw Achane at the end of the game walk off the field slowly. It looks like he just got bent up, honestly. I don't know if anything's broken, but he did return for the overtime period. So that's all with the injury front coming out of this game. Next week they do have a bye, so there's no game, so everyone can rest up. Whether anyone will come off IR, I don't know. I stopped guessing. I mean, Austin Jackson will be back next game against the Saints after the bye. They opened his 21-day window, and he was just out for this game, so he could have played this game, but so he'll be back. Whether anyone else, look, James Daniels to me seems like a bum. I mean, this guy, he got hurt 3 plays in the season, and they said it would only be a month. We're going into December with the next game after the bye. Who knows? Liam, who knows? Andrew Myers, it's who knows and who cares at this point. It's so late in the year. Who cares if they come back, honestly? It's probably best if they don't, because it's just like trying to integrate new people in the lineup at a point where everyone's probably got accustomed to playing with each other. So if they come back or don't, honestly, I could care less at this point. So Tom, any other thoughts here on this game you want to sort of get off your chest here? Because I got a lot to say, but I'll let you get them all off your chest.
From an offensive perspective, I'll start there. Head scratching all around. It seems like they can move the ball very well between the 20s for majority of the football game. And once they got inside the 20, it just stopped, right? So the Dolphins, 2 goal lines situations, couldn't punch it in from the 1 or 2 yard line. 2 times couldn't punch it in. Short yardage situation, short yardage issues continuing to plague the Miami Dolphins. This game, honestly, should never have been close. The Dolphins should have blown the doors off the Commanders, but they couldn't score in the red zone. Offensive line play, I thought, was fine. Quarterback decision-making at times in this game was very good. At other times, it's like, why are you spinning into sacks still in year 6? Throw the ball away. I mean, in the one instance, it didn't hurt them because the Commanders muffed the punt, but you can't give field position away. You got to throw the ball away, live to see another down. But overall, he was efficient. He was able to get Malik Washington more involved in the offense. Greg Dulcich is getting, his reps in. Julian Hill had a couple targets. Jalen Waddle had a couple blunders in this game. I'm not gonna knock Jalen Waddle, people. I'm just not gonna do it. But catch the ball. If the ball's in between the numbers, you got to catch it. He had 2 big drops in this game. Defensively, they struggled, and they just couldn't slow Washington down. I thought Washington played with good pace. I thought they played with a good rhythm. They did a good balance of rush and pass. Marcus Mariota looked at times like the Oregon Marcus Mariota, and then at the start of overtime, he looked like the Tennessee Titan version of Marcus Mariota. So in the end, the Dolphins win the football game. They get their bye week. They're 4-7. Still nothing to write home about in regards to the record. But again, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's that little glimmer of hope that they are giving the fan base to continue. And they open up after the bye week at home against the New Orleans Saints. And then they have to go play the Jets in New Jersey. So the table's set for the Dolphins, but we get a little bit of a bye week. We get a nice little vacation, and we'll see where the chips fall when we come back from the bye week.
Yeah. You're very kind saying that there's hope. There's no hope.
I didn't say. I just said there's a glimmer of hope for a majority of the fan base.
They can have a glimmer of hope. Those fans are stupid. Here's the deal. I mean, if you watch this game today and you think, not you, if a fan of the Dolphins today watch this game and think this team is going to go on a run, or even if they beat the Saints and Jets, they're going to be in like this team. What happened last week for the Bills is the exception, not the norm. They played the perfect game. You had a team like the Bills who played a sloppy game, and Miami took advantage of it like they should, and they won. That's great. They went to Spain. Both teams were sloppy. And once again, this is what here's the story of this game. Anytime the past 5 or 6 years, Miami has to play a game overseas, they leave on a Monday, they treat it like a vacation, they're not prepared for the game, and they play like crap. This time, they actually won just because, I don't know how or why they won, but they came out with a win no matter how many mistakes they made. The team wasn't prepared. They came out slow. They came out sloppy. They treat these international games like a vacation. Like, there's no reason to fly out on a Monday, but they want to go sightseeing and they want to let the players enjoy themselves and stuff. Like I said, Washington flew out on Wednesday. Okay. And then a few weeks ago, the Rams, when they did it, flew out on Saturday, played Sunday, flew home after the game. You know why? It's not a goddamn vacation. It's a business trip. We have a job to do. And they come out in this game, you know, they have to call timeout again on the opening series, which seems now to be a weekly thing. And on 4th and 1, they get a delay a game. This team under Mike McDaniel. Yes, the Bills game was great. Don't be a prisoner of the moment. Think you're going to get that every week, because we didn't get it prior to that game, and damn sure didn't get it today after this game. Mike McDaniel is so bad as a head coach, it's not even funny. And that's just in the first drive of the game. We didn't even get to everything else yet. Give me a second, I will. And I know fans of Dolphins, you know, yes, it was a bad pass interference call on the refs. Get over it. There's a bad call in every game. These things equal themselves out. That, you know, that didn't play a factor in this game. But, you know, I'm sick of hearing how, he's going to hold on to his job because they're playing hard for him, the players. It's all bullshit, folks. The players are playing hard for themselves for future paychecks on whichever team they're going to be on next year. They're not playing hard for him. They're playing hard for themselves. But the mistakes and lack of preparation by a Mike McDaniel team never ceases to amaze me. You know, if you're a fan of Mike McDaniel and what he does, you're a fan of moments. You're a fan of the one moment like we saw last week versus the Bills. And each year there's 1 or 2 moments where Mike McDaniel shines and he's your guy. But if you actually want a winning football team that, I don't know, maybe finishes over 500 on somewhat of a consistent basis, wins a division like every 3 or 4 years, maybe wins a playoff game or 2 every now and then, McDaniel's got to go. He stinks. And that call at the end of the game, with a minute something left on 4th and 1, when you can kick a field goal, you take the lead, and then you let your defense, you know, bring the game home. No, we're going to go for it on 4th and 1. We're going to show them. Well, show them what? You didn't get it. What are you trying to prove? What point are you trying to prove? Kick the field goal. Take the lead. Points matter. It's not the first half. It's not the third quarter. This is with a minute to go in a tie game. You have a chance to kick a field goal to get a win. And he didn't kick the field goal. Lo and behold, the offensive line lets him down again. We get stuffed at the 1, and he's so lucky that they won this game. And then he even screwed up in overtime. They win the toss. Instead of taking the ball first, or if you score a touchdown, game's over, he deferred. He let them take the ball first.
No, the new
what
rule.
What is he thinking?
The new rule is both teams possess regardless.
Are you sure about that?
100%.
Whatever.
Both teams possess regardless, which is why they deferred.
Still stupid. Still take the ball first. Put the pressure on them.
Well, it's kind of like the college scenario, right?
But you're not starting at the 30.
You want to start at the defense. Yeah.
You're not starting at the 30. That's why. But okay, this guy, he's just a bad. Regardless, everything else, he was just so bad. Now let me talk about some of the positives in this game. 1, Achane. Again, I could say this every week with him. Another great game. Ollie Gordon, I thought, played really well. Also in this game, I think he had like 9 rushes for 45 yards, average around 5 yards a carry. And Jordan Brooks also played well there. I thought, how many tackles? I know he led the team in tackles, but overall, you know, there was 3 bright spots in this game. One, the offensive line, one, the tight ends. It wasn't Waddle, wasn't the quarterback. Damn sure wasn't the head coach. The secondary, Jack Jones made a play late. Good for him. Okay, cool. But overall, this team just looks so sloppy. It's not like they're playing a great team. They're playing a 3-7 team.
Jordan Brooks had 20 tackles, by the way.
20 tackles for Jordan Brooks. I mean, good Lord. Here's the deal. They won this game. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because I don't care what the record is at the end of the year. They can beat the Saints. They can beat whoever. They can beat the Jets. Whoop-de-doo. what Mike McDaniel showed today is this job is far too big for him. Now we've seen 100 examples prior to today, but this game being at 9 a.m. in front of the world where everyone's watching just got a prime example of not. I mean, the comments on social media when he didn't kick the field goal. I'm just going to share a couple. You have Pete Prisco. This is coaching malpractice. Jeff Schwartz. What the fuck are the Dolphins doing? You have Jason Whitlock. Mike McDaniel has to be fired. Ridiculous. Like there's 100 comments from reputable, proven NFL guys, people who get paid to talk about stuff for a living, saying, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, I know some fans of the Dolphins trap themselves in a bubble where they don't want to hear no negativity and they lie to themselves and they twist themselves into pretzels. Like, we won. I don't know why you're being so critical. Who cares? But this is why. Like, you struggle to beat a garbage team in Washington. This shit don't work on a consistent basis. Where going forward on 4th and 1 with a minute to go in the game, when you just kick a field goal, will probably win it. Like it's just so mind-numbingly dumb that if you're a fan and you still want this guy back, you need your head examined. And if the owner's going to bring him back, he needs his head examined too. I mean, this is so bad. The guy don't get it. He's not a head coach. He's just not a head coach. And some of these decisions, I don't care that they beat Washington. Just like I don't care if they beat the Saints or Jets. It doesn't mean anything. They're garbage teams. They're a garbage team beating teams who are garbage. Okay, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What does matter, though, is if you want to see this team ever improve, ever, like in 2026, 2027, 2028, he can't be the head coach of this team. And today was, yes, they won. Put it aside. He was atrocious today as the head coach. They won the game in spite of him, not because of him. Period. And there's no counter argument to that.
I agree with everything you said in regards of, again, you have the ball at the 1 yard line. The Commanders have no timeouts. Yes, an injury timeout. Stop the clock with 1:44 left. You still take your points. It's a damn chip shot. Actually, you take a delay of game penalty, push it back 5 yards, then take your kick. But regardless, the whole game plan for a team that is down by 3 is completely different from what we saw them do after the Dolphins went for it, right? The Commanders have to play with a lot. They're pressing at that point with no timeouts. The Dolphins just have to keep the sidelines covered and tackle in the middle of the field. And they didn't even do that. So, yes, very fortunate that they get a W in this game because questionable decision-making from Mike McDaniel could have cost the Dolphins this football game on more than one occasion. So he did not coach a very good game today. And, again, outside of what we saw last week against Buffalo, which the game was almost flawless to a point. And then you send the team there on Tuesday morning. That's when they land. And then they sightsee. They do their press tours. They do practices. And then they come out and they look sluggish. They look like nothing like they did last week. And that's been the problem in the last 4 years under the Mike McDaniel era is the consistency. Consistency after a big win, you play down to the level of competition. The Commanders never should have been in this game. Never. But it's bad decision-making across the board from the offensive play calling perspective and a lot of head-scratching decisions that, A, put the team in a bad position, B, can put the quarterback in a bad position too. And the last one, Washington knows what you're doing on 4th and goal from the 1 yard line. They know what you're doing. Why aren't you at least doing something with maybe a tight end getting out into the end zone and throwing
I'll tell you why. Because they don't trust their quarterback who's making $50 million to throw a pass in a big spot. Because all he did was run into sacks the whole day. The guy just runs into sacks. He has no pocket presence. He looked like Ryan Tannehill out there today. And they don't trust him. That's the other side of this. People say what they want about McDaniel. They don't trust the quarterback. So they'd rather run it up the middle for the 50th time when everyone in the world knows you're going to run up the middle. And they'll take their chance that it's going to be a coin toss that it might work.
Well, it ended up working. Thank you, Jack Jones. And Devon Achane. So it really just it's a game of inches, and you can't give your opponent as much as the Miami Dolphins did today. A really banged up Washington team too. I think if you look at the flip side of it, if Jaden Daniels was probably playing in this football game, the offensive play calling changes immensely for them. It opens a lot up. Mariota played a very good game within the line of scrimmage, within 10 yards, intermediate passes, quick throws. He was eating the Dolphins alive. Why aren't you playing more press coverage in those moments? You're giving him that opportunity. I think the defense was fine today, but at the end, those are just questionable decision-making. Why aren't you adjusting to what Washington's giving you? Let Mariota try to beat you deep. Marcus Mariota is far, far past his prime. He's not going to hurt you. He did with his legs, and he did on the short and intermediate throws. Dolphins win. That's at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. But from the big picture, it's still a big, giant question mark and probably some signs flying over Hard Rock Stadium in a couple weeks.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to be there in a couple weeks. I think the fans, here's the deal. The win over the Bills was great. And what all of us were hoping to see, it's not about, trying to make a run, trying to get in the playoffs it's like you want to see them build off that. Okay, you know what? They got a nice win. Back it up with another nice win. And yes, they won the game. And I know some fans, I saw one guy in chat, what are you guys complaining they won? Because the season's over. Okay, the season's over. Not going to the playoffs. The season's over. It's not about wins and losses at this point. It's really not. It's about watching the team grow and improve, watching the young guys grow and improve, looking for a team to play with some consistency week after week. And instead, what we saw was essentially when we had the nice win over Atlanta and then go home and get blown out by the Ravens, this was essentially that. Nice win at home versus last week versus the Bills. And then, they didn't lose this week, but they played like crap. I mean, they won this game, but you got to be, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, you cannot be so naive to the fact and just ignore the fact that they look terrible today in every aspect of this game and play like garbage outside of one guy in Achane. And that's the problem. You don't get any consistency, and that's the frustrating part. I don't care that they won or lost. It doesn't matter. Season's over. They win this game, they're not making the playoffs. They lose this game, they didn't make the playoffs. Same thing with the game versus. It don't matter because they're not going anywhere. What matters is they don't ever improve. They never improve. And they never play with consistency, and they're never prepared under this head coach. And they go out there and lay eggs, or it takes them to the third or fourth quarter to get their first touchdown of the game against a team like Washington, who was ranked 31st, 30th, and 29th in 3 meaningful categories on defense heading in this game. And they struggled for 3 quarters to move the ball. I mean, that's why it's not about, tanking or drafting. That's all just noise. It's about looking to hope to see this team from week to week build, improve, grow, something. You never see it. And if some fans are happy with that just because we won and you're happy for 24 hours because you beat a bad Washington team, go for it, celebrate it. Then I wish I thought like you. But I think most normal fans are like, Jesus Christ, again? We're going to go out there and struggle again versus a bad team? And we were lucky, let's call it what is lucky to win. And that's the frustrating part with this team, with this head coach, and with this organization for 20 plus years. You never get any consistency at all. And that decision to not kick the field goal, I hope that, look, he ain't going to get fired now, but I hope at the end of the year that will play a factor. Like, this guy don't know what he's doing. Like, he don't know what he's doing. He's so freaking bad at his job.
Yeah. It's the owner.
Stinks.
I mean, listen, the reports, it seems like it's been every single week since the Ravens game, right? We've got reports that are, Stephen Ross wants to keep Mike McDaniel and Tua for next year. Stephen Ross likes McDaniel. We're going to hire a new general manager. Well, you're not going to hire a general manager outside this organization, as attractive as Diana Rossini may have reported that it could be for outside candidates. It's bullshit. Truly not, unless you start clean at head coach. Because the guy that you want to bring in, or girl, or lady, that you want to bring in to be a general manager of the football team, you can't handcuff them. This is like Chicago Bears shit 101. They do this on a regular basis. Fire the head coach, keep the quarterback, hire a new general manager, head coach fired, new head coach hates the quarterback, start over again, vicious circle of life. It's all the Bears have done for 15 years, at least. You can't be put in this position. The Dolphins don't move on from anybody at the quarterback position, but they'd sure move on from the head coaches after a couple of years. Tannehill went through how many coaches? 2, 3?
Oh, I lost count.
It was Foreman, Campbell, and Gase.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the deal. Hold on. We got some breaking news. We got more people calling Mike McDaniel stupid. Kurt Warner, I don't know what Miami was doing for it at the end of regulation. Kick the points, kick it, take the points. It's Mike McDaniel. Colin Cowherd. If there was ever a game that neither team deserved to win, a tie feels appropriate with this game. Just everyone under the sun. Now, there's one guy who I'm not going to put on blast right now, a local reporter who agrees with this, is because I don't want to get into it today, who actually is supporting Mike McDaniel. But he's it. You got, like I said, Tom Pelissero, Jason Whitlock, Colin Cowherd, Kurt Warner, Jeff Schwartz, former players. And I'm not even naming them all, because every time I scroll Twitter, there's like 5 more from people going, what was this idiot thinking? This guy is a national laughingstock. Yes, they won. And if you're going to be a prisoner of the moment and only say, yeah, they won, who cares? Great, they won. Be happy they beat this game. This guy don't know what he's doing, and they won the game in spite of him, not because of him, because he is an idiot of the highest order. Hold on. Do I still got the sound effect saved on here? I want to see if I do. Hold on. Here it is.
Hero of the stupid.
McDaniel, hero of the stupid. All right, Tom, let's move on here. You got don't recap a lot of this game, because
it was
I don't know if I can sit through. Let's just skip the whole first half. How about that?
I like your sentiment. I do have to say the first half was 6-6. If we want to start there, it was 6-6. Both teams driving the ball up and down the field, just could not finish drives. Washington missed a field goal. Miami made their field goals, but they also had a 3-and-out punt. So that was your first half. Opens the second half, 6-play, 59-yard drive, ends in a Deebo Samuel 20-yard touchdown reception from Marcus Mariota on a little bubble screen where the Miami Dolphins forgot how to tackle. And, Mike, at that point, it just seemed like the wheels were just ready to fall off after the way the first half ended.
Yeah, sorry, I was half paying attention. I'm reading people yell at this one local reporter, which is quite entertaining right now. I didn't even hear what you say, so
that's all right. No, don't worry about it. The Dolphins turn it over on downs. They got an 8-play, 63-yard drive. Took 5 minutes, 18 seconds off the clock, and on 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, Tua Tagovailoa throws to Jalen Waddle, and it was deflected by Bobby Wagner, and Waddle could not get his hands around the football. The Dolphins turn it over on downs.
Yeah.
Washington
Once again, they should have took points there. I know we live in this era and no one wants to take points anymore. And I
Analytics.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard Greg Olson said no field goal should ever be kicked under 30 yards unless it's to like win the game type of deal, which I'm sitting there going, are you out of here? I mean, Greg, and I like Greg Olson. I think he's a smart guy, great at his job. But I'm sorry, there are points in the game where you just take the points. I mean, we still keep scoring points unless something changed. Take the points.
Yep. After the Washington punt, Dolphins get a 10-play, 53-yard drive that opened at the 47-yard line after a short kick. Started with an incomplete pass. The big play on the drive, 13-yard reception on 3rd and 7 to Malik Washington, and then another 11-yard pass to Malik Washington that gets him inside the 20-yard line. Ended with a 1-yard touchdown run from Ollie Gordon. Like you said, Mike, at the beginning of the show, I think Ollie Gordon had a good game in regards of the amount of touches he had. He definitely made it count, and he scored a touchdown in short yardage situation for the Dolphins.
And don't forget to go buy your Ollie Mania shirts in black or in red. I got the link up on my Twitter account, and it's also up on the website at DolphinsTalk.com in our store. Get your Ollie Gordon t-shirts today. It's almost Christmas, folks.
In a battle of incompetent coaches on the next drive, Washington gets it down to 4th and goal at the 1-yard line with 6 minutes left. And instead of taking points, went for it on 4th down, and a pass falls incomplete to Zach Ertz. That play never had a chance for Marcus Mariota, but dumb decision-making from Dan Quinn in that moment as well, because the AFC is really, really strong in regards of the competition. I think the NFC is light in competition. It's very top heavy, and Washington needed this game. Not taking points there, stupid.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Who was the head coach for Atlanta when they choked away the big lead in the Super Bowl?
What was? Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn.
Just checking.
That's him. So after the downs, the Dolphins punt on a third down after a third down sack on Tua. They punt the football away and a muffed kick. Jake Bailey, nice little end over end kick, was recovered by Ethan Bonner at the 42. So the Dolphins are in business as they start to chew clock up. They get down inside the 2-yard line again, and Ollie Gordon was buried for a 2-yard loss again. Take your points. Now, it didn't hurt Miami, but it could have, because the very next drive, Washington goes 8 plays, 59 yards in only a minute 31, setting up a 56-yard field goal for Matt Gay, who up until this season was a very accurate kicker. He missed 2 kicks in this game today, and this one was a big one. From 56 yards, he missed it wide right. So the Dolphins have life at the end of the day. Overtime we go, and on the very first play after the touchback, Marcus Mariota throws short left to Zach Ertz, and it is intercepted by Jack Jones to take it to the Washington 33-yard line, and it opens up the Devon Achane show. He goes for 10, goes for 4, goes for 8, and instead of messing around and screwing something up, Mike McDaniel sends in Riley Patterson for a 29-yard chip shot, and it was good. The Miami Dolphins beat the Washington Commanders 16-13 in Madrid. That's right, Madrid. Wonderful city. That stadium, by the way, before we move on to the team stats, the stuff that stadium has, Mike, holy shit, is that state of the art. The field goes down underground to a spot where it has automatic robot mowers, irrigation, LED lighting. That field was immaculate. The NFL is very behind on times on building stadiums. They really need to take a tip from Real Madrid. And if anybody wants to play overseas, that stadium has to be the one you want to go to.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to be right back in that stadium within a few years playing another game.
Probably. Team stats, Washington 22 first downs, Miami 19. Third down efficiency, Washington 6 of 13, Miami 3 of 9. Fourth down efficiency, Washington 1 of 2, Miami 0 for 2. Commanders ran 64 plays for 379 yards on 8 drives. The typical NFL game is between 10 and 12 drives. Washington, 8. Miami ran 54 plays, 311 yards, and had 9 total drives. Yards per play, 5.9 for Washington, 5.8 for Miami. Passing in this game, 20 of 30 for Marcus Mariota for 213 yards. He did have the interception late. Tua Tagovailoa was 14 of 20 for 171 yards, 6.2 yards per pass. Did not turn the ball over in this football game. Rushing, both rush defenses, as we would have assumed in this game, was going to be pretty bad, and the numbers show it. 33 rushing attempts for 172 yards at 5.2 yards a carry for Washington. Miami, 31 carries for 169 yards at 5.5. This is where it got laughable. Washington 0 for 3 in red zone. Miami 1 for 5. Penalties 6 for 31 for Washington, 4 for 39 for Miami. 2 turnovers absolutely killed the Commanders in this game. Time of possession 32-36 to 29-51. It's time for a game ball, Mike, and we should probably put a disclaimer out there. I think it's a lock. Devon Achane gets one every week, but we can't.
Yeah,
so we got to change it up. We got to change it up.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Jordan Brooks. 20 tackles, 10 solo. Clearly the best player on that side of the ball. So Jordan Brooks gets my game ball.
I'll stay on that side of the ball, and I will give it to, and it's a tip of the hat to him. Jack Jones made the game-sealing interception. As much as I'd love to just say Jordan Brooks, because 20 damn tackles, 10 of them solo. What a tremendous effort from him. Tyrell Dotson, same thing.
Yeah, he's a good one too.
We shed on Tyrell Dotson at the beginning of the season. He looks more like the Tyrell Dotson that we picked up late in the season last year than he did in the first 3-4 games.
But that's part of the problem is you can't take half a year off.
Correct.
Like,
you can't. You can't.
Teams that are good can't wait for a guy. Yeah,
it's
I
good
know.
to see that it's paying off again. That's the main
it's
point.
good, but that's why, after this year, this roster needs a big overhaul, and they got to run off some of these guys because you just can't take half a year off. And I know part of it's on the head coach because he's just inept and never has his team ready. But there's that there. One thing we should talk about is that Ian Rappaport report that came out this morning about, the future of Mike McDaniel and the future of the quarterback, which it didn't really say anything. All he said, Ian, was that if Mike McDaniel stays, that Tua probably stays. But if Mike McDaniel is not here, the Dolphins could do some things to move on from the quarterback, which I agree. I mean, look, honestly, I don't want him back. I think Mike needs to go, so does the quarterback. My whole logic this whole time has been rip the Band-Aid off, take your hits, get it out of the way, get it behind you. 2026 is going to suck whether he's here or not. Move on and just start your rebuild then. But if they're not going to fire him, good Lord, just the thought of saying that made me want to throw up in my mouth. If they're not going to fire him, then I don't care who stays at quarterback because next year is going to be so bad anyways that Mike is just going to get fired after next year because this guy is now incapable of having a quality season unless you load him up with the Armsteads and the Tyreek Hills and a Christian Wilkins and all the guys that are gone. They're not coming back. So Mike ain't going to win with a bunch of rookies. So next year is going to be just as bad as this year. So you're just putting off the inevitable. So if Mike stays, he can stay too. I don't care because they're both going to be miserable next year anyways. But if they do get rid of Mike, then just get rid of the quarterback, pay down the contract, do whatever you have to do. There's ways to do it. It's going to suck anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just get the clean sweep and move on. So that was the Ian Rappaport report there. Other than that, let's go to some super chats here since we got a bunch here. First off, Intense Farmer, thank you. Just sent us $4.99. Didn't even put up a comment. We appreciate the support. Let's go to Rainier. Sad, but we will be 6-7. We not making the playoffs. Agree. We'll probably win the next two games. And some fans are just going to be oblivious to what we are. But yeah, we're going to be 6-7. Then we're going to go to Pittsburgh on Monday night and get embarrassed. That's what's going to happen. We got two of them here from Dylan. McDaniel does need to go. Kicking 2 field goals instead of being stopped twice at the goal line, and this game doesn't even get to overtime. Correct, Dylan. And then your next one, good win, but this was the first NFL game in Spain, and this is what we make them watch. I wonder if the NFL will be invited back. Well, they will because of the money. But I understand your sentiment. Like I said at the top of the show, this is probably the worst day of Spain since 2004. It's just, they won, I guess, but they beat a second-string quarterback who was actually knocked out of the game for a bit. They had to play a third-string quarterback for a few plays. They just weren't good today, and I don't know. It's like that win last week was great, but it goes to show you, Tom's, nothing's changed. This is still the Dolphins. This is still McDaniel. This is still, they just haven't improved. Last week was just an anomaly, and I think for a lot of fans like myself, we were hoping for it not to be that. Like, I almost would feel better if they played great and, lost by 1 in overtime than playing like crap like this where they look unprepared, filled with mistakes, and, yeah, they won. Like, out at least you know what? Maybe they've turned the corner, something's starting to click, but I don't know. Call me crazy.
No, you're not. You're not crazy. I was with you. I thought that last week it seemed like they turned the corner, especially after the embarrassment against Baltimore on that Thursday night football game. And then with Buffalo coming to town, I mean, I know I predicted Miami to lose by 4 scores in that game. They proved me wrong last week. They really proved me wrong. And I expected them to win this game. I thought they would win the game by at least a field goal. But I didn't think it was going to be this ugly. I didn't think it was going to be as ugly as we saw it. And again, it's a lot of it falls at the feet of the head coach. The head coach with bad decision-making, play calls, head-scratching play calls in specific moments could have cost his team the game. Obviously, he's not worried about his job. So why should we?
Exactly. It has really, last year especially, this year too, watching these games, I do it because I am a fan of the team. I do it because we have this show and we have this website. but there hasn't been a lot of, say, joy in watching this team play week in, week out, because you just see, you watch other games around the league, you see teams play crisp football, smart football. Yeah, there's always a few teams that stink, but for the most part, you see teams not make the same mental mistakes over and over and over and over again. Like, we're on par with like the Jets and the Browns. We're not even in the same class as teams like the Patriots, as teams like Houston, as teams like, Pittsburgh, or, teams like the Ravens or Bills, obviously, or the Chiefs. But even teams like the Chargers have passed us. Teams like Sean Payton out there, his team with the Broncos have passed. Like, we're not even in the same league with them. Yes, we might beat them occasionally. Again, moments. They have a moment, but on a week in, week out basis, we're the Jets and the Browns. And anyone who wants to argue that with me, I will argue it to my death, because we are 4-7, folks. And outside of the one game versus the Bills, who have we beaten this year? The Jets, Atlanta with their backups, and Washington with their backups. You got the Bills win. Great. And how did last year go? Where the head coach, when he loses his quarterback, doesn't have the first fucking clue what to do with the backup quarterback. It's just, there has been a lot of joy the past 2 seasons watching these games, and part of it is because it's just ineptness, really, from the general manager down, but on Sundays from the head coach down. And today, yeah, they won. And if you want to run around for 24 hours and celebrate the win, Victory Monday, go for it. I'm not saying don't, but like, shit don't change. Nothing ever changes with this team. It never changed. And this was a win today that, yeah, we won, but it's like, damn, really? It shouldn't have been this hard. It should not have been this hard. No, I'm ready for a bye week, Tom. I'm ready for a bye week.
Oh yeah, it's been a long first, more than first half of the season, 2/3 of the season. It's been very long, but we appreciate everyone listening, watching, following, subscribing. It's going to be a very interesting after the bye week for the Miami Dolphins, and we'll see how they come out after the bye week. And again, let the chips fall where they may, whether that's the win-loss column, whether that's where you're going to land on the draft board. That's everyone's prerogative on how you want to root for this football team. But just know, if you are really looking ahead to the draft, based on a lot of the conversations that are being had on with some of these reports, I don't think there's a lot of players that you expect are going to be coming out in this draft. I think everyone's getting ready to load up in 2027. So you use the information as you will. This is not going to be a quarterback-heavy class.
No, it's not going to be a quarterback-heavy class, which kind of stinks, because I would like to be in play next year for the wide receiver from Ohio State and stuff like that. Which is why I'd rather be a team that gets their quarterback this year, so that next year we can take, someone like that in round 1, which unfortunately we're going to be sitting here with a team like the Jets with multiple first-round picks, who's probably going to get a great quarterback, him at wide receiver, and someone else, and they're going to be setting themselves up beautifully, which it would have been nice if things sort of broke right for us to get, maybe get a quarterback this year. But if all these guys are all going back, which again, it blows my mind. You got Fernando Mendoza's coming out, which is great for him, and he's going to be the first one off the board. Whether it's pick 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know, but he's going to be the first one off the board, which is great. But why Moore, Simpson, and Sellers are all going back? I know they might not be ready. I get they all might not be ready, but I'd rather be the number 2 quarterback in this draft, where you might go like pick 7 or 8, than be next year where you got Arch Manning, Legway. Who's the other quarterback? There's another quarterback, yeah, and then you throw in those 3. They're gonna be 5 or 6 going in round 1. I'd rather go number pick 6 or 7 this year. Maybe not be totally ready, sit it like a year, and that instead of being the 5th quarterback taken around 1 next year, where you go and pick number 28. It's a lot of money. So, whatever, not my decision. Well, there's a lot of time to talk about that. As we leave, I want to share this clip, because our friend Frank the Tank, who just turned 50 the other day, was doing a live stream today. And the moment Mike McDaniel went for it on 4th down and didn't kick the field goal, let me just show you Frank's live in the moment reaction. Because as I always say, Frank is all of us. You can, I'm now Frank. Bullshit. When you're watching the game alone on your couch, you're Frank the Tank, because this team will drive you to drink and drive you to that. So this was Frank's live reaction.
No, they can't be going for this. There's no way in the fucking world they're going for it. You kick the field goal. You take the lead. There's 140 left. What the fucking fuck? Anyone who thinks Mike McDaniel should keep this job, that play is for you. If you think Mike McDaniel should be the coach of this team, that play is for you.
I mean, I can't find any other way to end this show. That's this game in a nutshell. People are getting caught up in the win or loss. This game wasn't about win or loss. This game was about a head coach committing career suicide on the NFL Network on live TV. That's what this game was about.
Listen, Frank is money when he comes to live reactions. I wouldn't say a similar reaction, but the sentiments were the same. You know, when I have my daughter running in the other room, Daddy, why are you yelling? That would, you know, Frank is all of us. He is a lot of us as the fan base. Frank the Tank, thank you very much for your clip and for your fandom, because you speak for a lot of us.
He needs to be fan of the year one of these years. You know, gotta love our fan of the years. They're all great people. Frank needs to be fan of the year one year. And what I loved about this was Frank. So that's at the end of the game. He got his live stream. When the game was over, what did Frank do? Puts on our shirt, Fire McDaniel, from the DolphinsTalk.com store, then records a video for Twitter with his post-game thoughts, but he wasn't wearing the orange jersey. He did a costume change and put on the Fire McDaniel shirt, which you can buy exclusively from DolphinsTalk.com. Frank knows content. Frank is a man of the people. Frank is a performer at the highest level and knows, I need a costume change. If I'm going to do a rant, let me put on my Fire McDaniel shirt for the rant. Frank the Tank, happy 50th birthday on Wednesday, I believe it was. You are the man. We love you. We speak your name. You're the best.
Happy birthday, Frank. Hope you enjoyed it.
That was so good. All right. That's all for today's show. Everyone, thank you for listening. I hope your kids weren't watching that upstairs or about 10 other parts of the show. You know, Frank, you're the best. Now you got people putting names up. This guy needs to be fan here. No, Frank does. Don't be here pandering your friends. Everyone check out, everyone follow Tom on social media at Dolphins Talk Tom. Follow myself at Dolphins Talk. Check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. We'll have shows all week. Even though there's no game, we're going to have shows. I'm going to have a couple surprises as well. Everyone, have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll talk to you again after a while. And folks, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.
Ends up.